And welcome, YouTube, to another edition of The Devil's Hour. On today's broadcast and today's show, we will be taking a look at the horrors of North Korea. We will be experiencing testimony by people that have lived in North Korea and have managed to escape. And some of them have their families killed or know people that have been murdered, seen executions. As young as 7 years old, they seen their first execution. So let's get to the show, guys. Escaping North Korea in search of freedom. Yeonmi Park.
I'm speaking. This is the people who want to tell the world what they want to say.
See if I can make this bigger.
North Korea is an unimaginable country. There is only one channel on TV. There is no internet. We aren't free to sing, say, wear, or think what we want. North Korea is the only country in the world that executes people for making unauthorized international phone calls. North Koreans are being terrorized today. When I was growing up in North Korea, I never saw anything about love stories between men and women. No books, no songs, no press, no movies about love stories. There's no Romeo and Juliet. Every story was propaganda to brainwash us about the king dictators. I was born in 1993 and I was abducted at birth, even before I knew the words freedom or human rights. North Koreans are desperately seeking and dying for freedom at this moment. When I was 9 years old, I saw my friend's mother publicly executed. Her crime? Watching a Hollywood movie. Expressing doubt about the greatness of the regime can get 3 generations of a family imprisoned or executed. When I was 4 years old, I was warned by my mother not to even whisper. The birds and mice couldn't hear me. I admitted I thought the North Korean dictator could read my mind. My father died in China after we escaped North Korea. And I had to bury him at 3 a.m. in secret. I was 14 years old. I couldn't even cry. I was afraid to be sent back to North Korea. The day I escaped North Korea, I saw my mother raped. The rapist was a Chinese broker. He targeted me. I was 13 years old. There is a saying in North Korea, women are weak, but mothers are strong. My mother allowed herself to be raped in order to protect me. North Korean refugees, about 300,000, are vulnerable in China. 70% of North Korean and teenage girls are being victimized, sometimes sold for as little as $200. We walked across the Gobi Desert Follow your compass. When they start working, we follow the stars to freedom. I felt only the stars were with us. Mongolia was our freedom moment. Death or dignity. Under the knives, we were prepared to kill ourselves if we were going to be sent back to North Korea. We wanted to live as humans. People often ask me, how can we help North Koreans? There are many ways, but I would like to mention 3 for now. 1. Educate yourself so you can raise awareness about human crisis in North Korea. 2. Help and support North Korean refugees who are trying to escape to freedom. 3. Petition China stop repatriation. We have to shed a light on the darkest place in the world. It isn't just North Korean human rights. It's our rights that North Korean dictators have violated for 7 decades. We need governments all around the world to put more pressure on China to stop repatriation. In particular, Chinese delegates of One Young World can play a part by speaking up. North Korea is indescribable. No humans deserve to be oppressed just because of their birthplace. We need to focus less on the regime and more on the people who are being forgotten. One Young World, we are the ones who will make them visible. Fellow delegates, please join me as we make this a global movement to free North Koreans. When I was crossing the Gobi Desert, scared of dying, I thought nobody in this world cared. It seemed that only the stars were with me. But you have listened to my story. You have cared. Thank you very much.
You're not going to go to the floor till you get
Alright, guys, go back to the broadcaster now. This is me, my show. Yeah, so what do you guys think? That's the first video. Welcome, Xavier. You look like a real person. What do you think? I don't know, you just came in on the show. I'm gonna play another video. So it's basically testimony from people that have actually been in North Korea. My show is usually about people who have gone to hell, like actual hell. But this is hell on earth. This is North Korea. I'll give you a follow, Xavier, if you like to follow me back. That'd be cool. I'm gonna play another video right now, though. This is the title of the video: "The Family I Lost in North Korea and the Family I Gained" by Joseph Kim. Thanks for joining in on my show, everyone.
Now, Today. My head is always in tomorrow and the future.
Today, mostly, and some tomorrow.
Future
This
oriented,
is
but
a
it starts
commercial.
today. Yeah.
Hopefully that's good right there.
I was born and raised in North Korea. Although
Born and raised
my
in North
family
Korea.
constantly struggled against poverty, I was always loved and cared for first, because I was the only son and the youngest of two in the family. But then the Great
Hey,
Famine
what's up,
began in
Angel Ray and Myra?
1994. I was 4 years old.
Welcome to the show.
My sister and I would go searching for firewood starting at 5 in the morning and come back after midnight. I would wander the streets searching for food, and I remember seeing a small child tied to mother's back eating chips and wanting to steal them from him. Hunger is humiliation. Hunger is hopelessness. For a hungry child, politics and freedom are not even thought of. On my 9th birthday, my parents couldn't give me any food to eat. But even as a child, I could feel the heaviness in their hearts. Over 1 million North Koreans died of starvation in that time. And in 2003, when I was 13 years old, my father became one of them. I saw my father wither away and die. In the same year, my mother disappeared one day, and then my sister told me that she was going to China to earn money, but that she would return with money and food soon. Since we had never been separated, and I thought we would be together forever, so I didn't even give her a hug when she left. It was the biggest mistake I have ever made in my life. But again, I didn't know it was going to be a long goodbye. I have not seen my mom and my sister since then. Suddenly, I became an orphan and homeless. My daily life became very hard, but very simple. My goal was to find a dusty piece of bread in the trash, but that is no way to survive. I started to realize begging would not be the solution. So I started to steal from food carts in illegal markets. Sometimes I found small jobs in exchange for food. Once I even spent 2 months in the winter working in a coal mine, 33 meters underground, without any protections for up to 16 hours a day. I was not uncommon. Many other orphans survived this way, or worse. When I could not fall asleep from bitter cold or hunger pains, I hoped that the next morning my sister would come back to wake me up with my favorite food. That hope kept me alive. I don't mean big, grand hope. I mean the kind of hope that made me believe that the next trash can have bread, even though it usually didn't. But if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't even try, and then I would die. Hope kept me alive. Every day I told myself, no matter how hard things got, still I must live.
Welcome,
After 3 years of
young
waiting
boy
for my
Jay.
sister's return, I decided to go to China to look for her myself. I realized I couldn't survive much longer this way. I knew the journey would be risky, but I would be risking my life either way. I could die of starvation like my father in North Korea, or at least I can try for a better life by escaping to China. I had learned that many people try to cross the border to China in the nighttime to avoid being seen. North Korean border guards often shoot and kill people trying to cross the border without permission. Chinese soldiers
You guys,
will
this is
catch
very
and
real
send back
stuff.
North Koreans where they face severe punishment.
You think it's a myth
I decided
It's
to
not a
cross
myth.
during the day,
or a story?
first because I
People are
was still
living
a
this
kid
nightmare right now
and scared of the dark.
as we sit here in freedom.
Second,
We think
because
we're
I knew
having
I was
problems.
already
You have
taking
no
a risk.
idea.
And since not many people try to cross during the day, I thought I might be able to cross without being seen by anyone. I made it to China on February 15th, 2006. I was 16 years old. I thought things in China would be easier since there was more food. I thought more people would help me, but it was harder than living in North Korea. Because I was not free, I was always worried about being caught and sent back. By a miracle, some months later, I met someone who was running an underground shelter for North Koreans and was allowed to live there and eat regular meals for the first time in many years. Later that year, an activist helped me escape China and go to the United States as a refugee. I went to America without knowing a word of English, yet my social worker told me that I had to go to high school. Even in North Korea, I was an F student, and I barely finished elementary school. And I remember I fought in school more than once a day. Textbooks and library were not my playground. My father tried very hard to motivate me into studying, but it didn't work. One point, my father gave up on me. He said, "You're not my son anymore." I was only 11 or 12, but it hurt me deeply. But nevertheless, my level of motivation still didn't change before he died. So in America, it was kind of ridiculous that they said I should go high school. I didn't even go to middle school. I decided to go just because they told me to, without trying much. But one day I came home and my foster mother had made chicken wings for the dinner. And during the dinner, I wanted to have one more wing, but I realized there were not enough for everyone, so I decided to against it. When I looked down at my plate, I saw the last chicken wing that my foster father had given me his. I was so happy. I looked him sitting next to me. He just looked me back with very warmly, but said no word. Suddenly I remembered my biological father. My foster father's small act of love reminded me of my father, who would love to share his food with me when he was hungry, even if he was starving. I felt so suffocated that I had so much food in America, yet my father died of starvation. My only wish that night was to cook a meal for him. And that night, I also thought of what else I could do to honor him. And my answer was to promise to myself that I would study hard and get the best education in America to honor his sacrifice. I took school seriously, and for
Hello,
the first time
Melissa.
ever in my life, I received an academic award and for excellence and made Dean's List
Welcome to the Devil's
from
Hour.
the first semester in high school. That chicken wing changed my life. Hope is personal. Hope is something that no one can give to you. You
It's
have
for
to
the
choose
likes.
to believe in hope. You have to make it yourself. In North Korea, I made it myself. Hope brought me to America. But in America, I didn't know what to do because I had this overwhelming freedom. My foster father at that dinner gave me a direction, and he motivated me and gave me a purpose to live in America. I did not come here by myself. I had hope, but hope by itself is not enough. Many people helped me along the way to get here. North Koreans are fighting hard to survive. They have to force themselves to survive, have hope to survive, but they cannot make it without help. This is my message to you. Have a hope for yourself, but also help each other. Life can be hard for everyone, wherever you live. My foster father didn't intend to change my life. In the same way, you may also change someone's life with the even smallest act of love.
Oh yeah, I gotta pause that. That's a fucking
peace-
huge point. Let me switch the camera back to me. Alright guys, that's a fucking huge point that he just made. Let's see if I can rewind it. Life can be hard for everyone wherever you live.
My foster father didn't intend to change my life. In the same,
You may not intend to change someone's life, or you may not even expect someone to change your life.
way, you may also change someone's life with the even smallest act of love.
With even the smallest act of love, you may not even intend to change someone's life, or you may not even expect someone to change your life. But with the smallest act of love,
A piece of bread can satisfy your hunger, and having the hope will bring you bread to keep you alive. But I confidently believe that your act of love and caring can also save another Joseph's life and change uh, thousands of other Josephs who are still having hope to survive. Thank you.
hey, welcome, Peace Fighter. Glad to have you on my broadcast. So this man just talked about his journey basically out of hell. Well, there's two hells. There's hell on earth, or what could be hell on earth, and then there's the real hell, which is 1,000 times worse, which is what my show is normally about, is about the actual hell testimony. But there's also hell on earth going on, and this tonight's episode is dedicated to the horrors of North Korea,
And in the off chance that
or
she
hell
may be
on
able to
earth.
see this, we wanted to give you an opportunity to send her a message.
In Korean?
Or you can do English then Korean as well. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna make any longer in Korean because I don't think I can make it without tearing up. Luna, it has been already 10 years that I haven't seen you. I just wanted to say that I miss you and I love you. And please come back to me and stay alive. And I, I still haven't given up my hope to see you. I will live my life happily and study hard until I see you. And I promise I will not cry again. Yes, I'm just looking forward to see you. And if you can't find me, I will also look for you. And I hope to see you one day. And can I also make a small message to my mom?
Sure, please.
I haven't spent much time with you, but I know that you still love me and you probably still pray for me and think about me. I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be in this world. Thank you.
Alright, guys, that's pretty powerful stuff. I really like what he said about love. Let me switch the camera back to me here. Yeah, so he's like, you never know if when somebody's gonna change your life, or you can change somebody else's life with just the smallest act of love. It doesn't even take $1. All you gotta do is talk to somebody. Anything, really, by showing you care, can completely change someone's life. You never know. But yeah, we do need a lot more love in this world. There's way too much negative energy going on. But moving along, this show is not just about. It has a lot of negative energy on the show, just to show how horrible things are on the dark side, if you will, on the dark side, or there's many names you can call it: hell, the abyss, Satan's realm, whatever you want to call it. It's real. And my show that I do every day is it's testimony of people that have been to actual hell. They died, clinically died, went to hell, and came back to talk about their experiences. But today I'm only doing experiences from North Koreans that have lived on hell on earth. So moving along, we're gonna hear some more testimony. What else can I put here? Let me see. I might even put something more gruesome, because the testimony is good, but let's see what else I can find. This video is alright, this one is supposed to be really graphic. Prepare yourselves. This video is supposed to be really graphic. Let me see if I can make the screen better. Hold on. There we go. I mean, this is literally Nazi Germany, but like, worse in our time. We're living in our times right now. This is just as bad, if not worse, as the Nazis and Hitler's regime. This stuff's going on right now. It's not World War II. This is happening right now. Man, this stuff is so horrible, guys. This is worse than Nazi Germany. If not the same or worse. This is worse. And we're just sitting here waiting to do something. Why? Why do we even let these guys tell us that they're gonna attack us? Why do we even let them speak? They don't even deserve to speak. You wanna give these kind of people a chance at peace? It's not gonna happen. This is like 100 years of brainwashing. It's not gonna reverse. Dude, these guys need to be taken out. Why do we even let them speak? And you guys say that America is bad. You have never even been to North Korea. You wouldn't even last one day in North Korea. They hate Americans. If they hear you speaking English, they're gonna kill you. That's right. You cry to the Lord, forgive them. Forgive them of their sin. But if they're not gonna accept the Lord, then they're going to hell. And hell is forever. They think they have power now, wait till they fucking meet their judgment. They have no clue what real hell is. These people committing these crimes. What do you think of my show, guys? I know I'm using clips and stuff. It's not like me 100%. But it's my idea, my concept. What are your thoughts? Did you guys think or realize that North Korea is really that bad? I mean, did you expect to even see or hear about how bad it really is? Let me know about your input, whatever you think about my show or the topic. Please let me know what you think. I'm gonna go to another video now.
제대로 먹으면안돼 물에다가 폭포에다가 죽을 만들어서 근데 그 밥도 얹어놓은 게 아니고 다 썩은 거야. 냄새 풀풀 나요.
머드다가 생겼는데 그 머드다를 도망치면 이렇게 죽인다고 좋아하시는 분 모여놓고 이렇게 도망을 치지 말라고 이런데.
North Korean prison camps are correctional facilities for people sentenced to correctional labor in North Korea. These are operated under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of People's Securities Corrections Bureau, which is directly controlled by the National Defense Commission. Various human rights violations are persistently and repeatedly perpetrated on a daily basis. Let us take a closer look at the North Korean prison camps, where violations of human rights are widespread.
This is real shit, guys. Real shit happening right now.
Pursuant to the criminal law. The North Korean criminal law prescribes that 7 felonies will result in a life sentence of correctional labor, and that most misdemeanors will be sentenced to correctional labor for a limited term between 1 and 15 years. In each case, the rights of the citizens are partially suspended. The prison camps generally consist of confinement facilities, labor support facilities, and management administrative facilities. Men and women are confined separately. Currently, 19 prison camps have been identified in North Korea. Among them, we will focus on the Jeongguri Kyohwaso and the Gaechan Kyohwaso. Both prison camps mainly detain defectors who have been forcibly repatriated to North Korea. We will learn about the violation of human rights that take place in these prison camps through testimonial accounts.
That's the name of the camp.
Jeongguri Kyohwaso is located in Hwaeryong, North Hamgyong Province. Originally, Jeongguri Kyohwaso was a male-only prison camp, but facilities for women were built between 2008 and 2010. About 70% of the prisoners here are incarcerated for illegal border crossing. According to the testimonies, the inmates are served prison food that only consists of corn rice and salt soup. However, the prisoners generally receive only half of the regulated amount, which causes the majority to suffer from chronic malnutrition.
식사도 한 사람당 450g당 밥인데 죽을 만들어서
How come I'm seeing people's
근데 그 밥도 온전한 게
people
아니고
join?
다 썩은
I'm
거야.
seeing like
그러니까 영양이
scroll across my
사람들이
screen.
영양실조로
It's kind of weird. You guys on the level
The
6.
red prison cells of the confinement facilities detain more than 2 to 3 times the allotted capacity. Due to these conditions, the prison cells are so overwhelmed with foul odor, filth, and pests. There are no provisions for disinfection or quarantine of any kind. The prisoners are only required to carry out 8 hours of hard labor each day, but in truth work over 12 hours a day to meet their daily production quota under any circumstances.
Well, you know, Live Me is a Chinese company. They might be watching me.
또 가운데 다른 방보다 또 통나무 이런 거 이만하고 여기서도 저보다 한 20일 저기까지 되는 거 이런 거 꿀금 산에서도 꿀금 내려와야 돼. 그거 못 내리는 건 몽둥이만
Not only do the prisoners suffer physical abuse and violence on a routinely basis, anyone caught escaping, stealing, or smoking are punished with 6 months of intensive labor, which usually results in death. There are confirmed accounts of executions by shooting as well. The prisoners who either were caught while attempting to escape or committed murder within the camps are executed by shooting, and the remaining prisoners are forced to look at those dead corpses.
I'll probably do my talent show tomorrow.
Chronic malnutrition, harsh abuse, and disease claim countless lives every year. North Korean defectors testify that the dead bodies are stored in a morgue and then incinerated in a cremation site, known as Bulmansan, without any notification to their families.
남자분들과 같이 죽음이 됐고 지하에 있습니다. 거기다 여는 나만 거기다가 좀 많이 차대가 뿌리 살다 질러가지고 좀 불망산이라는 데 가서 팔다 잘라가지고 이런단 말이에요. 불망산이 그통 안으로 이래야 되는 사람 통과를 못 해가지고 사람 보면서 어떻게 그 사람 제 나오니까 계속 똥처럼 그랬어. 우리 그걸 남아야 봐라. 내내 일하기 싫으면 저렇게 된다.
The Gaechun Kyohwaso is located in Jungsan County, South Gangwon Province. Most of the prisoners here are either those who crossed the border illegally or committed serious crimes. The Gaechun Kyohwaso is known for specializing in manufacturing goods. The shoes, garments, knitted items, and other industrial goods from Gaechun Kyohwaso are exported overseas. The 4 different types of human rights violations can be examined in this place as well. Prisoners only receive 1 small rice ball that is mixed with beans and corn as their meal. There is a persistent shortage of drinking water and a lack of basic supplies. Although some prisoners receive basic provisions and supplies from their family members who visit them, it is never enough.
얘기를 한다고 하시면 그럴 때마다 뭐 수도권 간다는 것을 지휘관이라고 가루를 이제 요줘요. 하루에 한 킬로씩 먹게끔 해줬어요. 저는 한 50킬로씩 그렇게 해서 30%는 다 튀어내요. 그래서 윤리가 머무는 데서들이 많아요. 그러는 사람들이 유명시적으로 해서 막 죽이직도.
North Korean defectors have testified that the so-called medical ward at the prison camp do not even offer adequate treatment.
다친다고 했는데 그때 제가 물어봤고 그 다음날에 병원에 좀 들어가보라고 주변에 어떻게 되셨습니까? 근데도 없이 이렇게 굳은 상태로 이제 머리가 뒤로 나왔대요. 그런데도 이렇게 피가 개만 흐르는데 피가 안 흐르게 너무 아프다고 그리고 나 불러야 된다고 해서 그냥 진짜로 그래가지고 그냥 누고 있다. 빨리 수술 좀 해주지 않고 왜 그러니까 선생들이 없다는 거예요. 그래서 그날에 죽었다는 거예요.
Wow.
With no set working hours in place, the prisoners begin their harsh labor as soon as they wake up and work until they have completed their daily quota.
모사 같은 거는 4개, 5개씩 그다음에 그 원타 식탁 같은 거는 2kg수로 한단 말입니다. 하루에 25g 이상. 자켓들은 이렇게 오늘 하루에 뭐 2타를 뜬다든지 하나 뭐 이틀에 자켓을 한 개씩 뜬다든가 이렇게 분량이 떨어진다. 그래서 그걸 뜨지 못하게 되면 보면 발전도 못하고 딱 이것도 이런단 말입니다. 노동이라는 게 사기였거든요.
Violence and physical abuse are all too common at this 교화소. Any faulty work and or failure to meet the quota results in physical abuse or violence without exception.
나는 뭐 동생이랑 생각해야 되지 않을까. 좀 앉아서 좀 쉬다 가자 이렇게 말하는 거 옆에 알아. 야 이럴 때 빨리 해야지 이러면서 말하니까는 간다. 뭐 내가 옆에 있었어. 뭐 듣고 소리. 야남 일하지 않고 왜 이렇게 나를 잡아당기냐 하면서 이 험이 있지 않습니까? 험이 그 자루 가지고 딱 때렸는데 거리 터져가지고 그때 당시 이 교리니까 이 먹태를 해나간다. 이길 마오라가지고 먹태를 했었는데 피가 엄청 팍 나와서 애들이 또 거했단 말이야. 그러고 소리가 며칠 동안 그렇게 앓다가 그러다가 해야 되는 거지.
When a prisoner dies, the body is either disposed of via cremation or buried in the nearby mountains, without notifying the family. Even convicted prisoners have the right to have their inherent dignity respected. These violations and infringements of human rights are not limited to just these two 교화소s. The South Korean government and the international community need to collaborate in tandem to condemn and apply pressure to the North Korean regime, so that the dire conditions of these 교화소s can improve and violations of human rights can be eliminated. At the same time, the situation regarding the 교화소s and the measures to improve the facilities need to be discussed through exchanges and cooperation between the two Koreas.
It's not gonna happen, guys. It's only gonna get worse. I gotta get back. You guys gotta see me right now. Dude, you guys. Are you guys with me? Are you guys in the room? Dude, this stuff's not gonna get better. This shit's happening right the fuck now. Right as we're speaking right now. This shit's not gonna get better. These guys have been doing this for almost 100 years, 70 years. The North Korean regime has been like this for 100 years. They're not gonna get better. Things are not gonna get better. That's why this is the horrors of North Korea. This is not like something light that we just joke about. I don't really joke too much on the show. And I'm not actually the most serious person in real life, but my show is very serious. This is the Devil's Hour, and this is horrors of North Korea. I don't mean to really scare people or anything. I just shed light on horrific things, or things that may seem horrific. Everybody has a different perception, so what's horrific to one person may not be so horrific to another, but I can pretty much guarantee you that most people would agree that there's many horrors in the region of North Korea. Let's see what else we have here.
It's 9 p.m. in the South Korean capital, Seoul. At a subway station, we've arranged a meeting. This 25-year-old
This
is
is
North Korean.
other people that have escaped
He's
from
asked
North
us not to
Korea.
reveal
Let's hear
his
their
face
testimony.
or his name, but he wants to tell us about his past.
잠을 잘 시간이잖아요. 그러면은 방마다 소리가 나요. 그 맞는 소리가.
This is the story of the defectors, men and women who've escaped North Korea. The testimony you will hear in this program is shocking, it's heartbreaking, and it's happening right now. Stories of murder, slavery, torture, imprisonment, rape, unparalleled in the modern world and recalled by those who survived it. Driving through the neon of modern Seoul, just 30 miles from the darkness of North Korea, the 25-year-old we've met can't quite believe he's here or even that he's alive.
운이 좋은 게 아니라 기적이죠, 사실. 그 상대적으로 보자면 북한에서 살던 것과는 중국에 와서
The miracle is this new beginning after a childhood spent in a North Korean labor camp. We arrive at the Seoul apartment block that's now his home.
고독하죠, 이제 그 죽음을 기다리는 것들이. 밤마다 뭘 적냐면은 밤에 이제 어떤 소송을 하고 이제 잠을 잘 시간이잖아요. 그러면은 방마다 소리가 나요. 좀 맞는 소리가.
This is the place he's describing. North Korea is one of the world's poorest countries, a closed nation, a people cut off. Communal farms, it's all from a different age. But away from here, out of sight are the gulags, the political prisons, modern-day concentration camps. Satellite images show their scale, but for a picture of what they're really like, we can only rely on those who've been there.
밤마다 이제 뭐 누군가 이제 탈출을 시도하거나 아니면은 좀 안에서 좀 뭐 말을 좀 안 들었거나 뭐 이런 경우가 있으면은 안에서 그냥 다 벗겨놓고 그냥 때리는 거예요. 온 밤을 때려요. 그리고 이제
These sketches are the recollections of other prisoners who've managed to escape the camps. He's not seen them, but just listen to how his descriptions match.
안전원이 이제 그 꼬챙이 같은 거 들고 와가지고 다 어떤 남자들 여자들이랑 생식기나 이런 거 이제 터치를 하면서 거기에 뭘 감췄나 뭐 이런 거 보고 이제 방 크기가 한 저 정도의 크기면 한 4평 남짓? 네. 굉장히 작은 방인데 거기에 이제 한 60명이 있는 거죠. 그러니까 그 앉아있기도 굉장히 어려워요. 그러니까 다 이렇게 빼곡히 이제 앉긴 하는데 제일 무서웠던 거는 그 사람들이 죽는다는 거를 밖에 어떤 사람들도 모르는 거예요.
Listening to all this from the bedroom is his mother. The two escaped the north separately. Remarkably, they were reunited in Seoul. She's never told her own story, and for now she says she can't. It's Sunday morning. On the 6th floor of an unassuming building, a community of Christians have gathered for their weekly service. Most of the congregation are South Korean. But dotted among them are men, women, and children from the north. There are about 25,000 North Koreans living in the south. All of them are defectors. They've managed to escape. You only have to talk to someone from the north for a minute or two for a hint of their past life. An Jae-yong arrived here in 2004.
세월에 뭐 어차피 북한이 다 먹고 살기 힘들어서 그래도 그러지 않아도 굶어 죽는 판에.
In the 1990s, his eldest brother defected to Russia. That was effectively a death sentence for the rest of the family. They were all punished for the brother's crime.
부모님도 다 돌아가시고 우리 둘째 그 형도 그 가족들 애까지 어쨌든 다 굶어 죽고 제 동생도 뭐 굶어 죽고 어쨌든 그러니까 결국은 뭐 남은 것은 나하고 형하고 이제.
The South Korean capital is modern and it's sophisticated. It feels a million miles from North Korea, and yet here we're just 100 miles from the North Korean capital. But between the two countries is this, the DMZ, a border and a buffer, a place where there are more landmines than anywhere else on Earth. It is impenetrable. And so all those who do manage the escape, 2,000 or so a year, must endure an extraordinary journey. Their goal is the South Korean capital Seoul, a place where they're granted freedom. With no chance of crossing this border though, all of them head north to China. There they cross the Tumen River, which forms the country's northern border. In winter, it's easier, the river's frozen. From there they must survive undetected as they travel through China. If caught, the Chinese send them straight home. Their objective then is Southeast Asia, the South Korean embassy in Vietnam, Laos or Thailand. There they'll be granted their freedom, a passport and a flight to Seoul. Cheosu Park made that journey in 2012. He's a former tank commander in the North Korean army. Three years ago, he was here in the North Korean capital Pyongyang, driving a tank in Kim Jong-un's parade. We meet him at the War Museum in Seoul. And as we look at one of the ancient tanks, just like those he was driving only a couple of years ago, he tells me that it was only when he was brought to this museum that he realised all he knew, all that he'd been taught in the North, was a lie. The Korean War in 1950 wasn't started by the South and the Americans. It was the North who invaded the South, and that strong army he thought he served in is nothing.
다 보여주자는 이거 북한 인민들한테 군에 대한 이거 승리에 대한 뭐 혁명 승리에 대한 뭐 신신가락관을 보여주기 위한 이 선전물에 불과하지 실제 싸움마당에서 써먹을 수 있는 탱크나 병사들이 육체적으로나 기술적으로 병사 기술적으로 준비되어 있지 않거든요.
They're not ready for Okama. What the fuck are we taking them the fuck out?
He seems almost lost in his new life. He's cautious too, and not yet comfortable about discussing the details of his escape, why and how he did it. It involves his family. He'll talk about it later, he says, in private. In the hills outside Seoul is a place called Hanawan. This secret facility, off limits to us, is where rehabilitation for every defector begins. All the North Koreans in the South have spent time here. They are effectively reprogrammed. History is rewritten, corrected, and they're taught from scratch. Even the things we take for granted, how to drive, how to buy a coffee, how to fit in. But the challenges even after the rehab at Hanawan are huge. As a North Korean, fitting in anywhere is hard. Mr. An from the church is to show us how sport helps him. We return to the home of the young man whose childhood was spent in a prison camp. His mother has decided she wants to tell us her story. And North Korea's ambassador to the UK grants Sky News a rare interview.
We don't have labor camps.
Wow, it's straight up lying.
This is a TV show with a difference.
외국과 북한의 밀당.
It's not a place you'd expect to find North Korean defectors struggling with their new South Korean lives. But that's precisely who these women are. It's part chat show, part talent contest. South Korean TV personalities laugh with North Korean contestants.
북조선이 각종 분장과 영웅 칭호를 남발하고 있다고 합니다.
Here they impersonate newsreaders from the north.
북조선 주민들을 위해 출근하세요.
Hey, what's up, Ayo, Lewis,
Prompts a
though?
nervous smile.
Thanks for joining my show. It's kind of a
There's a laugh
serious
when
show.
one young woman admits she can drive a tank. An emotion as others discuss kidnappings in the north.
만약에 그 사람들을 돌려보내면
But it is quickly clear the laughs hide an enduring struggle. This is Lee Shun-shil, free now, but still utterly broken behind the smiling. She was once a North Korean soldier. She bears the scars of torture. She tried to escape 9 times. She and her 2-year-old daughter finally made it over the border to China, but there the misery continued.
내가 내비야 벗어난 내 새끼인데 지금 어디 사는지 살았는지 죽었는지도 모르고 지금 그냥 보고 싶으면 하는 그리움 하나도 못 살아요. 너무 보고 싶고 죽겠어요. 너무 보고 싶고 찾았으면 좋겠어요.
She and her baby were sold in China and to different people. Mrs. Lee was forced into farm labour. She's no idea where her daughter went. It's hard to listen to. An Jae-yong is the defector we met at church. He's asked us to join him for a game of choku. It's a curious, impressive mix of football with volleyball. We're in a downtrodden suburb of Seoul. The game allows us a moment to understand one of the many difficulties for North Koreans in the South: integration.
South Korea. North Korea. Who's winning?
There are effectively 2 games here. On this pitch, the players are from the north, but down there, on the other, are the South Korean players. 2 nations alongside each other, but not yet together. Moon Young-suk was at the church too. I sense he's struggling.
서로 모두 외로운 사람들인데 여기 와서 우리의 과거를 얘기하면은 이쪽 사람들은 잘 그거를 이해를 못해요. 우리의 아픔을.
The 2,000 or so people who make the escape to Seoul every year are treated with remarkable generosity by the South Korean government. Because this peninsula was once one nation, those from the north are automatically granted South Korean citizenship. With that comes counselling, housing, and cash to get them going. But there's a sense that this causes resentment, friction with some from the south. These men are treated as a lower class. Still, it's better than the north.
자유있잖아요. 우리는 북한에서 뭐 말도 잘 못하고 국민도 자기 말하고 국민도 안 되는 말하고.
By evening, we're back in the city centre and back with the young man who'd spent his childhood in a prison camp. He wants us to return to his home. His mother has made a decision. She wants to talk. The following morning, we're heading back. She's decided that for the first time, she wants to reveal her life in a North Korean prison camp.
이 세상에 알려야 되는 이런 못다한 일이 많은 사람. 그래.
Alright, I'm open for somebody to want, if they want to beam in. But, alright, here I am. This is what me and my room looks like. So what do you guys think so far? This is pretty serious stuff. So this woman, who her son just spoke, gave an interview to, she hasn't spoke about it, at least publicly, to anyone. The people that are still on the North Korean side, that live in North Korea, are defending the regime, and we're saying like none of this is happening. They're basically in denial that it really is happening. There's countless testimony, and this is not World War II. This is not 1940. What is it? When did they happen? 1939. This is not 1935 to 1940 something. This is not World War II. This stuff is happening right now, right as we're interacting with each other. This shit's happening in North Korea right the fuck now. Let's just go back to hear what this lady has to say. This is crazy. That's her first words. I was there. All the torture. This is the devil's hour. Horrors of North Korea.
그래서 나는 들어가서 그 모진 고문, 모진 아픈 매를 다 막 섞이는 동시에 앞을 잠깐 이렇게 봤는데 끝이 없는 쫙 그래서 이런 현관처럼 복도인데 벽 쪽에 쫙 이렇게 자그마한 철문들이 다다다다 이렇게 요만한 간격을 붙은 거 보니까 그게 바로 그 죄수들 들어가는 그 감방이더라고.
Again, sketches by others who have escaped are a chilling match for her testimony.
감방 자체가 사람이 키로 된 감방이 아니고 사람이 앉으면 약간 이렇게 공간이 이렇게 그래서 이렇게 개 나가고 개 들어오고 개 구멍처럼 그렇게 했는데 내가 다른 감방 형태는 몰라요. 내가 있던 감방은 그래서 내가 딱 하나만 이렇게 앉아서 요만한 깔배를 하나 주고 그 옆에 오줌똥을 이렇게 사고 막 피 자국이 턱.
She lived like this for 2 years. She counted the days on the wall in blood.
하나씩 다 빠지기 시작하니까 제일 바쁘던 게 엉덩이 살려 꼬리뼈가 살이 다 빠지고 꼬리뼈가 더 길어지고 꼬리뼈가 콘크리트에 이렇게 데워가지고 그게 이제 이렇게 짓물에 피에 이렇게 나가지고 그게 자꾸 전염되면 이렇게 헐게 되면 이제 허는 거 부청이 있는데 썩어 들어가면 이게 지금 못 들고.
All this for being caught trying to escape her country.
그렇게 하니까 이 머리채를 그때 이렇게 이러는데 머리채를 감아가지고 책상 모서리에 짚더라고. 짐승보다 더 악랄해요. 짐승보다. 사람이 사람을 어떻게 그렇게.
Hyun Hak-bong is North Korea's ambassador to the UK. He represents the North Korean government and its policies, and he agreed to a rare interview with us.
Well, those guys who made the wrong against the government, needs to be punished. But we don't have labor camps. Actually, we have education camps, all right? Not camps, the education place.
It is a denial repeated again and again by North Korea.
Western countries say that we have labor camps, but that is not true.
The United Nations report released in February concluded beyond doubt that the camps exist. Systematic, widespread and gross human rights violations have been and are being committed by North Korea, it said, and the gravity, scale and nature of these violations reveal a state that does not have any parallel in the contemporary world. Unspeakable atrocities. But we've heard from witnesses who are willing to speak and to recall their hell. Their words provide a unique record. It's time for lunch with Chosu Park, the tank commander from the north. At the museum, he didn't discuss how or why he escaped. Now, at this quiet Korean restaurant, he will.
그날 일이 안 되려니까 그날 외공부 연합집에서 나와가지고 그걸 단속 되게 된 동기로 해서 고향을 떠나게 됐습니다. 걔네들한테 걸리게 되면 한국 영화나 미국 영화나 이런 영화를 보다가 현장에서 들키는 경우에는 정치범으로 가고.
But here's the tragedy. His wife and his children are still in the north. His calculation was that they'd be safer if he left. It's a gamble.
그렇죠. 가족이 배고프고 그립고 뭐 취조를 하거나 잡아가거나 이런 건 없고 지금 상태에서는 감시만 하고 있는 걸로 알고 있습니다.
We spent a few days inside North Korea last year. It was a strange trip. We were only allowed to see what our minders showed us.
I've never seen so many people so devoted to one man.
The devotion is quite extraordinary, hard to understand, hard to explain. But Mr. Park says it's simple.
그게 존경하고 사랑해서가 아니고 내가 거기서 눈물을 흘려야 될 때는 눈물을 흘려야 되고 외쳐야 될 때는 외치지 않으면 정치적 감투를 씌우고 사상투쟁 무대에 올려서 끊임없이 괴롭히거든요. 자기뿐만 아니라 자기만 괴롭히면 좋겠는데 후대들까지 괴롭히니까 나 하나 잘못되면 좋겠는데 나 하나 잘못을 해서 이 죄 없는 아이들까지 애들까지 자식들까지 친척 형제들까지 법적 제재를 받거든요.
It is an irony that those who remain inside North Korea carry broad smiles, and yet so many of those who've escaped struggle to smile at all.
아직까지 돌아오지 못하는 걸 보면
Mrs. Chon is unlikely ever to heal.
돌아올 걸 기대하면서 포기를 않고 기다리고 있으니 꼭 살아서 돌아와 달라고.
The tears are for her lost husband. If he's not dead, he's certainly in a prison camp. And that's the thing. The hell everyone has described here isn't history. It's happening right now in camps just across the border in North Korea.
Alright, guys. It is now just a little bit before the actual Devil's Hour. What do you guys think? I really like to know what you guys think. This show is not just for me to experience. It is an experience for me as well, the broadcaster, but for my audience as well. I would really like your feedback. The stuff's really going on right now. It's not a myth. There's real people, pretty much just like me and you, human beings getting tortured beyond imagination. It's hell on earth. My actual regular show, which is also called The Devil's Hour, has to do with people that have died and have gone to hell and have seen actual hell, which is even worse than North Korea. If you can imagine what they're doing in North Korea, times that by 1,000. And that's what hell's like, real hell. The actual hell, when your spirit leaves your body, and the spirit realm, when your spirit, that's forever, it's eternal. And you're in North Korea, you have a chance to die. When you're in hell, in real hell, it's 1,000 times worse than a North Korean prison camp. And you have no chance of escaping at all. That's basically what real hell is like. If you want to hear testimony about actual, like, what people think of as hell, there's plenty of testimony. That's what I do on my regular show. But this episode of The Devil's Hour is the horrors of North Korea. I'm gonna have to probably wrap it up now. I'm getting a little tired. And I don't really think I could take too much more. This is actually almost worse than my regular show. Even though my regular show is about eternal damnation. The fact that this is going on right now in this world and not in the next world is really troubling. The fact that people care more about an Irish man and a rich, spoiled brat. Although they're good athletes, we should really be focusing on what really matters. There's people getting tortured to death in camps even worse than Nazi Germany. Let that sink into your mind. It's not World War II, it's happening right now. Camps worse than Nazi Germany. I mean, I don't know about worse than Nazi Germany, but I mean, you could just say it's equivalent, the same. The same, if not the same, or worse than what's happening in Nazi Germany. So, this is supposed to be the horrors of North Korea, but this is really a message to everyone that we can't sit back and just pretend like this isn't going on. Even if you can't do anything to help these North Koreans personally, you can show love to your neighbor, show love to anyone, and that love will spread. That's what we need to do. So, signing off. What you can do is show love to your neighbor, show love to anyone that you think needs even a hug or even someone to talk to. Just show that little bit of love and pray. Thank you all for watching my show. Dr. Dank signing off. Good night and God bless. Thank you, YouTube. Good night. God bless. Peace and love.